my people. Coach Mar going live here. Going live here for a few minutes. I know I posted on X as well as I posted earlier today that I was gonna go live today to talk about the Dallas Cowboy run defense, and wanted to touch bases on some stuff about what the Dallas Cowboy run defense. Been hearing a lot of stuff. I want to counteract some of these things that are real. Some of these things are problems. Some of these things are myths. Some of these things are being brought up is basically stuff that people usually say when they talk about when a team has problems stopping the running game. Want to talk about some of the things I haven't seen that's been a constant problem for the Dallas Cowboy run defense, not just this year, but this has been a constant problem with the Dallas Cowboy defense. Probably, I want to stop. I just saw a comment that came through from Joe, watching all the way from Italy. Man, thank you, Joe, for coming in, man, and watching me, man, on this live stream. Thank you for being a fan. Share it over there in Italy, man, all over the country. Cowboy fans are everywhere, man, and I appreciate you being on this live stream. And I hope you get some information, and we're gonna learn some information together. And getting back to what I was saying about the run defense, it's some things that I've been seeing for a couple of years now. And one thing I could tell you about this, if you have two different coordinators or three different coordinators and you still having the same problems in the run game, it can either be the two things. You don't have no talent to stop the run game, or where I think the main problem with the Cowboys is, are we really bought in to stop the run game? No. Now, I know I'm going to upset a lot of people, and I know I'm gonna have a lot of people coming at me, whoever see this, and they're gonna say, "Well, Coach Marv just being, we just don't have the personnel." But your personnel has changed somewhat. Your coordinators have changed. Your defensive line coaches have changed. But you still got the same basic problems. I posted on Twitter earlier today, on X. I keep calling it Twitter, but X. Well, I got some information about the Cowboys run game, and it said the Cowboys run game has particularly had problems with the outside runs. And this is something Coach Marv has been talking about probably for a couple of years now. That outside runs, and I want to make sure we understand that when I say outside runs, when you say outside runs, a lot of first things people they start thinking about is sweeps, and they start thinking about containment. Yes, the word setting the edge. That means setting the edge. That means being strong on the edge, where you have to make the running back turn back up into the pursuit of your other defensive players. When I say when we have outside runs, I'm talking about runs right off tackle, as well as outside, as well as your quarterback scrambling, as well as reverses and sweeps and stuff of that nature, yes. But teams have, for the last 3 to 4 years, have consistently run off tackle on us. Now, I get a lot of people out there talking about, well, if we get a DT, if we get a one tech, that's probably going to solve our problems with a one tech. Well, if you watch our film, very, very rarely you see guys getting blowed over top of linebackers. Because one, teams have gotten the blueprint of the Cowboys that says, hey, and film will probably show when you look at the analytics, when we talk about analytics, we look at where the running game was going and how and where they attacked us on the running game. They didn't run at DeMarcus Lawrence when DeMarcus Lawrence was in the game. So you ran away from DeMarcus Lawrence and you attacked everything else off tackle. And you got great success from getting off tackle plays. Now, when our linebackers improved from the year before to this year with Zimmer, we got a little bit better in some cases, but then some games we had big blowups. And it goes back to what I was saying earlier on a couple of lives before. When you look at the stats of the Cowboys and we watch the games, it's explosive runs. That is our major problem. It's not that teams just grind us down with 5, 6, 7 yards a pop. No. But we give up too many explosive runs, and 90% of those explosive runs are off tackle. And those explosive runs come, and I know a lot of people out there saying now, well, coach, if you said it's explosive runs, well, who is it? Who is the person who you're talking about when you're talking about explosive runs? You said people didn't run at DeMarcus Lawrence. Well, so they ran to the other side. Did they run at Michael Parsons? No. There's never, and this is what you need to figure out when Coach Marv is telling you here. In a run defense, it takes 11 to be a good run defense. 11. And if you got anybody out there 11 that's not invested in being a good run defense or looking for other people to be the run defense, it's going to hurt your run defense. It takes 11. Some people say, well, coach, you don't take the safety because the safety, he's on the roof. But he's the person who can stop the big plays. He's the person that probably can stop a 40-yard play and make it a 10-yard play or a 15-yard play. Now, when you look at the Cowboys defense, going back to what I said, off the edge has been killing us for the last 3 to 4 years. Now, is that a product of, is your defensive tackles a part of that product? Yes. Because them getting off of blocks, and when things are turned back into them, you expect him to get, be a part of locking that up. But I think there's a couple of issues that I want to talk about tonight. That's the biggest problem And if we get these issues fixed, yes, if we do add a one tech, I don't think we need to add too much, but I think we could be a much better run defense because we have the athletes to do so. And we got the depth to do so. So let's talk about some of the things that we need to do to be a better run defense. And I'm putting those things in categories. Now, all my live streams in the last 2 or 3 times is talked about culture, about mindset, about changing the identity of the Cowboys because it's the foundational thing that's going to work with all the other stuff. It's the foundation that's going to work for us stopping the running game. It's going to be the foundation for us to be a more physical team in running the football. It's going to be the foundational blocks into anything Schottenheimer wants to do with this team. But we have to correct the mindset about how we go about our business. Now, some of you going to say, well, coach, he come coach getting back to, practicing or all that. Yeah, that's part. But there's teams that what we call historically good at stopping the run. They may have a season here and there that they don't stop the run, but they're historically good in stopping the run. Dallas Cowboys used to be one of those teams that was historically good in stopping the run. Even going back to the days, and this, like I said, history is very important. Even going back to the days of Tom Landry, the flex defense was installed to be run stoppers because that was a very key thing, and it was it was innovative, where it was one of the most modern things that came out, and it was such a genius idea where no other teams really can run it, but they ran the same type of philosophies, but the Cowboys lined up in it. And it got to a point where teams couldn't even run against us because of the flex defense. And then it allowed some of the greatest pass rushers in football to get after the quarterback. It allowed Harvey Martin, and a lot of people don't realize Harvey Martin should be in the Hall of Fame. Coach Marv doing this show that I'm here, I'm going to push a lot for Harvey Martin to be in the Hall of Fame. Then I may not get nowhere with it, but I hope I can start a trend of some people talking about Harvey Martin. I know we talk about Dan Which he should be in the Hall of Fame, but Harvey Martin should be in the Hall of Fame. Harvey Martin goes down to one season where they didn't even throw the ball as much, over 20-some sacks. That was before they were doing sacks, but it was recorded. He had well over 20. And for a 3-4 year stretch, there was nobody to sack the quarterback more than Harvey Martin in the history of football, and he wasn't playing for 14 games. And they wasn't even throwing the ball as much as they throwing it now. He was an MVP of the league one year, and it was an MVP of the Super Bowl. Him and Randy White together. Harvey Martin was dominant. Randy White was dominant. Too Tall Jones was dominant. Jeff O'Pugh was dominant. But they all became dominant because of the flex defense stopping the run first. Then they was able to hunt the quarterback. So if you think about what I'm trying to say about what should be out for what is one of our main problems, let's look at some history. Let's look at some things that's been going on with the Cowboys defense, and you'll probably see where I'm going to lead in to the first problem, and it's a cultural-based problem, and it's commitment to run, commitment to stopping the run. West Coast Cowboy had a hat that I've got. I should get the hat and wear it sometime. It says "Run the damn ball," and I bought a hat from him. But he had another hat that said stop the damn run. But it's a commitment, just like it's a commitment to run the ball. There's a commitment that has to be to stop the run. And like I said, historically, you got teams that have been great stopping the run. But let's look at the Cowboys in the last 5 years. Has everybody run the ball against us? No. I think the Giants, who tried to run the ball, even when they had Barkley, I think he averaged way less than 100 yards when he was with the Giants. The only person who really hurt us in the run with the Giants was the quarterback, Daniel Jones. Washington never hurt us with the run. There's been games that we have shut the run down, but there has been games that we have gave it an exorbitant amount of running yards. And in those games, it came on a lot of explosive runs. There's been times, 22 with Dan Quinn, and we shut them down to like 113, 114 yards, 20 yards. That's great when you got that many attempts because they ran the ball 30 times. I think sometimes we look at the running game, we say, oh, they got 150 yards. But if they take them 120, 130 yards and they got to run the ball 35, 38 times, you all right. Coaches can live with that. You're not going to shut a team down to 20 yards when they run. That's not. You have to have realistic outcomes, but you do not want to have no explosive runs. So when you can get them the amount of carries to go up, and we can keep them in 35 carries for 120 yards, then you have very few explosive runs. And as I told you, a lot of coaches, I used to do this with my defense. I take out the high in carries, and then I average from that. So I take out the longest carry if it's over 25, 30 yards, and then I average from that. I do not want to give up explosive runs, but I want to get a feeling of how we did overall against the run. So explosive runs have hurt us. And we've been up and down with how we stop the run. We up, we down, we up, we down, we up. Let's think about it. Let's go talk about Barkley. Philadelphia Barkley played the Cowboys 2 times. The first time he didn't even get 100 yards. Probably one of the only games he didn't get 100 yards. And then the second game, we controlled him the whole first half. Until the second half, he got 2 explosive runs. Next thing I know, he got an explosive run right before the end of the game because they're trying to get him over that mark, but he couldn't get to 100-yard mark until he got that thing late in the third quarter when he got that explosive run, and it put him over the 100-yard mark, and then he got another explosive run because our head started hanging because we were getting beat, and he got his record. But it was 2 explosive runs. Now, that's what he does. If you look at Derrick Henry, he had 3 explosive runs. None of those runs was right up the gut. And if you look back at our defense in the last week, and I would tell anybody, off tackle has always been our Achilles heel. And it's not been our Achilles heel because of a player. It may have been Achilles heel for some players here and there, some scheme types. But like I said, if you have the players has changed, you've had 3 different coordinators. You have 3 different offensive line coaches. You had 3 different sets of defensive coaches. And we still having the same schematic problems with the run game. That tells me it's something else more than just players and coaches. It's a mentality type thing. Do you really want to stop the run? Now, that's not testing nobody's mentality. That's not saying they soft. But there's a teams, like I said, historically good at certain things, and there's teams that's historically bad at certain things because it's a mental set of wanting to stop the run. I hear our Cowboys players talk about, I don't even hear them vividly talk about, man, it's embarrassing for people to run on us. I hear them saying, yeah, we need to stop the run. I hear our fans talking more about stopping the run than I hear our players talking about stopping the run. Now, I've seen our players get upset when we can't get sacks or we can't get pressures, and that ain't just by Parsons, that's by everybody. I've seen our defense said they're hungry to get interceptions. But how many times in a game when we make a tackle for a loss do you see our players celebrate? See, I'm telling you about something that you probably seen it, but you ain't realize it because you say, well, the ideal thing is to say, and I had a conversation with someone when I was talking about the same idea, and I said, we're talking about the Cowboys run game. And he said, man, they got to get some deep tackles, man. They got to get big up front. And I asked him, I said, are you giving me the canned answer to the run game, or you giving me detailed thought about how you stop the run game? And he didn't understand what I said, but and some of you might not understand, but let me explain it. That's a canned answer when people say the teams are running against you. First thing we say, your defensive line is not good enough. It's a canned answer when the passing game ain't working. First thing people say, your quarterback ain't worth nothing. It's a canned answer to say you can't run the football. First thing to say, you ain't got no running backs. But this one makes football so great. What makes football so great is there's never a canned answer. A can, when I say can, pop over a can, get you some pork and beans and just say this is regular, not nothing fresh. There's never a can type answer to a problem on a football team. Greatest team sport in history of team sports. When the passing game ain't working, yes, the first question is your quarterback ain't no good. Then we'll move to saying, well, he ain't got no receivers. Then somebody might say, oh, he ain't got no protection. Then somebody might say, the scheme ain't good. But usually it falls in that area. Quarterback, receiver, protection, scheme. And that's we're programmed to say it. If you get stuff from ESPN, Fox, all these other networks, if they say that they're not good in something, they're gonna go straight to the canned answer. That's the answer they're gonna give you, and they're gonna work on that regardless of what the real saying is. If I tell you team can't stop the run, the first thing you're gonna say, well, they ain't got a good defensive line. I grant to tell you that you can get a team that got a great defensive lineman, they ain't got no linebackers, they're gonna be just as bad as the run as they was without defensive line, without the defensive line. I could tell you that if I give you a bad scheme with good defensive linemen and bad linebackers, we still gonna have a problem. When I said again, and going back to what I was saying earlier, it takes 11 plus 1 to stop the run. And if you're going to be a good run defense, it takes 11 guys. And it takes 11 guys committed and determined that you're not going to run on us. And that has to be a mentality type thing set in. Because I see Green Bay Packers for the last 3-4 years have been one of the top teams, being the top 5 when stopping the run. Can somebody tell me who their defense? Tell me how big they one tech is? Can anybody tell me is he a Pro Bowler? But Green Bay defense has a philosophy of saying we're committed to stopping the run. And it's another thing that makes you a better team, makes you committed to stopping the run. If you look at the history of football, teams that are committed to running the ball are usually committed to stopping the run. As a mentality of the team, of the players. And there's 2 reasons for that. One, they practice against a team that has a mentality of running the ball and making the run work, which gives their defense great practice in stopping a determined running game. Also, the defense knows how important the run game is, that's setting the table to the offense because that's what their offense believes in. So if your offense believes that sets the table and that's your setting the table for you to win, then the defense understand we can't allow no other team to do that because we know we'll be in trouble. And that mentality will be in the team. But I could tell for the last 3-4 years, maybe that mentality was there a little bit on Dan Quinn's first year. And that's the first year that we shut San Francisco down and we had the 14 penalties. Because we were coming off a historical year the year before with the other defense coordinator who had no justice with nothing. And we had one of the most historic losing running things in the history of NFL. That year, Mike McCarthy's first year, was nothing about, it was mentality, it was about total, because every team ran against us. There was no games that we didn't get run on. But once Dan Quinn got there, we got better at the defense of run the game, but then we had hiccups here and there. And as the time went on, we started getting a little bit better, but then we started having hiccups. And then a lot of people came to us and say, well, as I was trying to tell people the year before when they were talking about, well, we couldn't stop the run because we had those linebackers those safeties playing linebacker. We got on something and we looked at that and we said, that's unusual, so that must be the problem. And I ain't gonna say it wasn't some of the problem. And then we gotta understand this. I know this for a fact. We had linebackers, we had safeties playing linebacker, and then we had a linebacker coach that was one of the worst linebacker coaches in the history of football. They didn't know nothing what you talk about. So you had guys out of position playing where they had to learn the position on the fly because they didn't have no help from no coaches. Yeah, I know that for a fact. So yes, but for the defense to do as well they did all year long, and then start having rough spots with explosive runs, I say it again. Because if you watch the Green Bay game when we talked about that, they started getting explosive runs in the second half, but there wasn't no grind out. You think about it, he had 140 yards, 130, 40 yards, right? He had 2 runs over 30 yards. And he carried the ball almost 27 times. If you watch the first half, we were shutting it down. But again, what rears his head is the commitment. to stopping the run. And why would you say, Coach, somebody say, Coach, why do you think it's commitment? Because I've been hearing the same thing for the last 3 to 4 years. Run fits. We got to be better at our run fits. We got to be better at doing our job. We got to be better of doing our job, not gambling, not playing hero ball. That all points back to discipline in the run game. And knowing that points back to more that y'all don't want to realize, and hopefully this coaching staff realize, that points back to everybody was not committing to stopping the run. And they say, okay, Osa, Mozzie, y'all stop the run. We're going to hunt the quarterback or we're going to try to play pass defense. That don't work. Defense is a collective job for completion and production. You have to be tied in 1 from 11. And when one area slips, there should be levels to save that person. There's levels to defense. First level is line of scrimmage. Second level is the linebackers. Third level is the secondary. They watch each other back. They cover for each other. And they collectively, when they're working to do their job in a hard manner, you could be able to stop the run. Because there's teams out there that stop the run, they ain't got no big defense. Miami, tell me what Miami got at defensive tackle. They let their best defensive tackle go to the Las Vegas Raiders, and they was a top 5 run defense. And I go on their roster and tell me where they got a big one tech. Now, I'm not saying that we don't need no size. No, I'm not saying that. I don't say we got to go there with skinny guys. But in today's NFL, stoutness is more than where we deal with size. Jordan Davis, the great, everybody was so enamored about Jordan Davis coming out of Georgia. Everybody wanted him. And they were so talking about, man, you can't get nobody better. Do you know the Philadelphia ain't pick up his 5th-year option? Don't you know he wasn't even really a factor last year? As no one, and you know the defensive tackle that played in front of him was much smaller than him and got a bag in New England. And you know they drafted another defensive tackle this year because Jordan Davis is not going to be there after this year, and he's huge. And if they let him go, guess what we're going to say as Cowboy fans? Oh man, let's go get Jordan Davis. We're going to be on it. We're going to be, let's go get Jordan Davis. Let's go get. In today's NFL, you ain't got guys leaning on their running games. The Eagles don't even run a power running game. They run a zone scheme, and what their job is to try to crease you in a certain way, and they're going to let Barkley find a way to get the big run. He's a home run hitter. And guess what? How you go? And we're going to have a show about this. I'm talking about the defensive side, but we're going to talk about the offensive side on my next show. But the reason why Barkley gets long runs is because the Eagles' offense is dedicated 1 through 11 to make big runs and to be committed. You don't get big runs if you ain't got blocks by the outside wide receivers and tight ends downfield. Because if they're not committed on the play stopped at 15 yards. If they totally committed, the play goes 40, 50 yards. But they're committed 1 through 11 because they understand that's where their bread is buttered. So I've been hearing so many years about run fits, leverage. We watch film, same stuff every year, every game. I got people out there say, man, I got somebody in the chat say, I love Joe Dick. I would love Joe Dick. For what? He was a non-factor for Philly this past year. Didn't sign his 5th-year option. Know why? Because he's big, but he's not productive. But we're going to name. We're going to name. So, like I said, did pick up his 5th-year option. Had no intentions. And when it drafted a guy in the 2nd or 3rd round, the guy out of Nebraska, they're looking to replace him. You don't have to have monsters to have a good run game, run defense. Now, where we have, where we have some, we had to do some work. I'm going to get to that a little later. But I want to explain to you, when you start having these same excuses year in, year out with different coaches, and the personnel different a little bit here too, that means there's a leadership on the field problem with the run game. And it has to be drilled into them, practice 1 to practice whenever, that if you don't stop the run, you don't play. I don't care how much you get at the pass. I can divine somebody to get at the pass. See, one thing about stopping the run, where it sets the table, it doesn't mean that you got to run the ball to a cloud, but it sets the table for you to be able to do anything else you want. Because when you set a dominance, then you are able to do anything else you want on the field, because you have a mental dominance over another person. Let's try that in life. If you get to a point where you feel like you ahead and you got them mentally thinking that you the one that's running the show, usually it's easier for you to get anything else you want to get accomplished. Football it's not too much different than life, man. It's more psychological than physical. And it sets the table with play action passes, which are deception plays. And why do deception plays work? Is because you feel that I can overpower you. So if I fake it, I got you in disadvantage because you brace yourself. So it sets the tone. Have you ever heard a team always say to get in rhythm? That's how they get in rhythm. And everything is built off their rhythm. So, like I was saying, we got to get to a point in our thinking that we understand the same problems are happening over and over every year. So it leads me to think about, when I hear the players talk, I don't hear them undoubtedly talk about, man, I'm embarrassed that they run the ball on us like that. Did we hear that after Buffalo? Buffalo ran the same outside play over and over again. If you go watch the Buffalo film, they got very little yards up the middle. When they did run the ball up the middle, Olsen them had to contain. But they ran off tackle. They ran 200 yards off tackle, around the end, off tackle. Start in the middle, brace it outside. Because two things about outside running. It's not all about the contain. If you don't have linebackers or you don't have safeties, both safeties, committed to knocking heads off and stopping the run, they ain't. If they just committed to come up there and make tackles and just say they got the guy down or look to see other people make the tackle, it's very easy to find that on defense, offense, and you attack that. And that's what they did. So when I keep hearing the same things, I think about commitment. It takes 11 guys. And I don't see the commitment in the players. Now, we want to talk about bringing in guys. You know, I hear people talking about bringing in one tech. Okay, bring in one tech. Go out there and get a great one tech. Bring them in here. If the commitment that I see of stopping the run is a second nature, that's the same thing I was talking about with us running the ball. I don't want you to say we're a dominant run team and we're going to run the ball down your throat every time. But I want to, what I mean by commitment is that, hey, I'm all right with winning the game running the ball. And if you want to do it that way, that's fine with me. But it seems like us, two things is a problem. We get upset if we just have to run the ball to win a game. Because then we get people talking about, well, I don't know, we got to get the passing game together. Man, we need to get some more wide receivers. Oh, Dak, he can't throw the ball around. It's the same thing on defense. When we shut the run down for less than so-and-so yards, if we don't get sacks, if our sacks ain't up there, if our turnovers, we ain't getting the sacks and the dances and all that stuff, we consider our defenses, we ain't do that well. We ain't get that many sacks. Be honest with yourselves, people. That's the fan base that we deal with. And it's not just the fan base. It goes back to what I was saying before. The outside media focuses on the things that are exciting. And they keep talking about that with the Cowboys. They have something negative to say about if we win. If we win and we stop the run, they be like, well, Parsons them ain't getting no sacks. If we win and Dak run, he don't throw the ball for 115 yards, CeeDee Lamb is not getting the ball. If we do that this year, guess what they're going to say? CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens are disappointing. And we won, and they say we won the game by 10 points. And our running backs ran for 200 yards. CeeDee Lamb and Michael and Pickens are disappointing. And guess what we're going to do as fans? We're going to take that. And what I told you before, don't let somebody outside your house criticize you, give you some level of criticism that you believe, and you take it back home and argue with your own family. That's crazy. You let somebody else feed you something, then you come back to family and argue with your family. So the dedication is my problem. Now, I know some of these people ain't gonna like this. There's probably people in this chat gonna say, Coach, you just, you reaching with it. Hey man, look at the team. And Big Show, I hope you're still out there. Think about it. Do we really seem like we are upset as a players about not stopping the run? Has any of our players said, I got to be a better run defender? Or they waiting on what everybody else say you need to do is get a one tag? If I heard any of my players say, oh man, we need to get a one tag, and I watch the film, I'm going to tell them every time, one tag ain't had nothing to do with that one. Is he going to help us with that one? Oh, he may help us with this one, but did he help with that one? Did we play defense? Did we fill that lane that time? Did we do a stunt when we ain't supposed to be doing stunts? I got inside information that we were doing that too. But we going outside the gap. Well, we play hero ball here. Is one take gonna stop that? See, until we come up, listen, I've always said this. You can't fix a problem if you lying about the source of it. If you're not truthful about the source, how you gonna fix it? In this world today, it's crazy. I was reading my Daily Bread today, and we talk about, man, the world is we are so getting to the point that the truth bother us, man. The truth is not what we seeking. We are seeking about what's popular and what people talking about than the truth. But the truth is that one, everybody now is dedicated to stopping the run. And that should be the source of changing their identity. Going back to what I was saying, a couple of with some people did, and it goes to my next point about what we have done player wise, they can stop it. But the first one I want to say about commitment, and it goes back to what I was saying, in my live stream other day. For those who was not on the live stream the other day, and go back to watch that live stream when we talked about my 5 things of building a culture. And these same 5 things are going to be the building of the culture of the defensive mentality and identity of being a run-stopping physical football team. Because the narrative out there now that other teams are looking at, the Cowboys, they don't see a team that's committed to stopping the run. Just like they don't go see a team that's committed to running the ball, they don't see a team that's committed to stopping the run. That's why you have it in games. You do well, and then in halves you do well, and then you start doing well in the beginning of the game, and then by the second half you ain't doing well, or it's times when you start getting down, your head start dropping, and people start running all kind of plays. You start missing tackles, and it just goes bad because we're not mentally tough. And it goes back to these 5 things. For people who had been following, when I said to build the blocks, it starts out with this one. Physicality. That's just applying force out there. That's just applying force. That means we're not going to lose blocks. That means when we get a chance to tackle you, you're going to feel us. I ain't mean you got to knock nobody's head off. I ain't mean you got to hit nobody out the play. But if we get an opportunity to get a hit on you, we're looking for that, and the other team's going to know it. And as I said, the second one is about discipline. I saw a clip today, and maybe once I get, I'm going to have to give me some help to find out how I can put in clips and all that stuff, because I see a lot of stuff that can probably help my videos a lot. But I saw somebody out there with Jimmy Johnson. I posted on Facebook when he talked about discipline. He said his team did all the wild stuff, playing, jumping around. Everybody would thought they was undisciplined. When he was with the Miami, when he was with the Cowboys, man, we had people jumping around, celebrating. Everybody thought that this team was undisciplined because of all the celebrating they did. But when it came to football and on the field, they did exactly their job and what they was asked, and they did it collectively. And they didn't do it on the field to hurt each other. See, there's a difference about saying, hey, they run around and do all they want, but they were disciplined. That's like my mom and dad. When I was growing up, man, everybody said Coach Ma was he could go out there. Yeah, he could go out there. He was drinking and whatever, this and that. But when it came to classroom and at home, no. I was reeled in. So discipline is one of the things. And what I said in the live stream before, this is going to help our defense. being disciplined, well, they physicality being disciplined. And what I said before in a live stream on yesterday, Eberflus is got to get respect and trust from his defense first. That's what Schottenheimer trying to do. But down the level, he's got to do that. Why respect and trust? He got to get them to respect him and trust him. I did not say like and love. Like and love is not even worth it. You want respect and trust. And then at the end of the day, it'll be a love and like and love. But if they respect you and trust you, they'll run through a wall. People think when people run through a wall, like I said the other day, they say when people say, well, coach, they'll run through the wall for a coach. They run through the wall, they respect you too. They'll run through a wall because they trust you too. They trust on the other side of the wall is to win or what they want. They respect you enough to say, I don't like you too well, but I respect what you're trying to get me to do. They ain't got to love you and like you. When it's easier to discipline somebody when they respect and trust you, and then when they like and love you. I'm saying it again, so y'all can compact that and use that in your life. It's easier to have discipline when they respect you and trust you than when they like and love you. They like and love you, they take you for granted. And they're like, oh, well, it'll be all right. When they respect you, people, sometimes you respect, the enemies respect each other. And they got boundaries. And if you trust the person, you trust your boundaries and you trust what they say to you. So he got to get them to trust him. And he gets him to trust them. He can build that discipline. And then I talked about the other one, mental toughness. How many times in the game did we get down and our heads start falling and then we start letting people run the ball all over the place? I mean, think about it, Cowboy fans. Y'all seen this. So when y'all going here talking about, man, we just ain't got that one tech. We've seen this video over and over every year. And we allow our players to have excuses about they ain't got personnel. I'm tired of that, man. Schottenheimer should be tired of that. Eberflus needs to be tired of that. Because if you continue to give excuses, that's all you're going to keep using. Who said on the team that I need to get better at defensive run game? I ain't heard it yet. That's cornerbacks included. So no, we ain't mentally tough. That's the other building block that he gotta get to play. And then fourth, he gotta have coaching and leadership. Sean said the other day, we teach them how to coach, how to practice. Eberflus got to teach them how to practice and how to be disciplined, mentally tough, and saying, we're not going to have the ball run on us. You almost got to get to the point and say, hey, man, they can throw the ball for 300 yards. If they got to throw the ball 50 times, most times teams throw the ball over 40 times, their winning percentage is under 50%. But I want to deter everybody that I don't care what it is, we ain't going to run the ball on us. And listen, when you got dogs like that, I've learned in coaching. When you got a mentality like that, because I've coached and I played on teams and coached teams that had a mentality to say, you're not going to run the football. And guess what? There's no different than in the box. The players that they got you in the box, they got you outnumbered the box, you still stop. It's just like when you got that confidence of saying it ain't gonna happen. Y'all know about this. Some of y'all play games, some of y'all play board games, some of y'all play cards, some of y'all play all type of games. Some of y'all do something, and y'all know, regardless of the odds, I'm still gonna win because I'm not gonna lose. You got to have that type of swag. But when it comes to pass defense, we feel we can get the quarterback. We feel we're gonna get an interception. But do we feel we're going to cause a fumble on the run play? Do we feel we're going to get a tackle for loss? Do our players hunt for tackles for loss on run game? Only person I seen hunt for those type of plays was Overshawn. He was just as fired up when he got a tackle for a loss in run game than he was when he got a sack. Everybody else, tackle for a loss in run game, or they run back to the sideline. Think about it. That's what y'all saw. So that commitment, man, and coaching and leadership on the field to get that commitment to being that you're not going to run. And then it leads us into the last part of my 5 things that I've talked about all week of building the culture is talent. And I'm here to tell you people, when I go to what I'm going to say, we got enough talent to be a grade A number 1 type of defense. We do. If you want it. See, I think our defense, and I keep saying this, we're going to go as far as our defense takes us. And I think our defense is just like some of our fan base. And he's like, Coach, what you talking about? Oh, Coach about to talk about pass happen. No. Our fan base have been programmed so much by outside media and somewhat by our dumb ownership saying things, and have been programmed with propaganda to say if we don't win it, it's Dak Prescott's fault. So we hide behind Dak Prescott. We don't even get better in our own position because we understand that we lose. They may talk about me for a second, but eventually it's all going to come back to who? Dak Prescott. And guess what, man? And I didn't talk about those on the last show, but I'm going to talk about it today, just for a brief moment. If anybody watched the press conference, or Schottenheimer press conference, and I thought one of the biggest moments in that press conference is when somebody asked him, said, with Dak Prescott, I think Cal, he said, with Dak Prescott being the leader out there, don't you think the team can follow his leadership of setting that type of mentality of, or how you do things, your culture? And Schottenheimer said, I'm not going to say that Dak Prescott is just him being out there. He's a great leader. I'm not going to say he's going to be a culture setter for the whole team, but he's a leader, but for the whole team and our culture. He's right. There's no player that can set your culture. A culture is what you are as a unit, collectively. He may be a big part of the culture. He might be one that we can see the culture in him, but he can't set the whole culture for the team. Because everybody's different from him. Do you ask when the army get recruits in Fort Jackson? Coming to South Carolina. Do they ask a guy who come in in the army from, let's say he came from Louisiana, and they send him down here to go to training camp? Into basic training. Are they asking the guy to come down here to make the whole culture of the army? No. He fits into the culture of the army. The army don't fit him. He fits into the army. Now, he might be a leader, but the culture that Schottenheimer is trying to set is a team. That's why he said, we're going to do this together. It's got to be. And see, he knew that question was leading to say, well, yeah, if y'all don't have the culture, Dak failed. And he's trying to get, and I hope he's trying to get our team off the point of, man, don't worry about Dak. Dak going to do his job. What are you going to do to win the game? Who else in this room going to win the game? Who else in this room going to say, hey, man, we're going to win because of me? Or are y'all waiting on Dak Prescott? Because Dak Prescott don't have a good game, I guess we ain't going to win the game. Patrick Mahomes don't have a great game every game. They win the game. Jalen Hurts don't have a great game every game, but they finally win the game. So y'all waiting on Dak, so y'all can hide behind him when it's all over and say, well, Dak gets the blame. I'm tired of that in the Cowboy lane. That's why the defense is going to take it. And if this team fail, I'm going to look at the defense. And the leaders on that defense, as they failed. Now, who y'all want to upset the leaders is? Heavy is the crown. So, talent-wise, what they have done, they've gotten better linebackers. First thing, if you want to find out what Eberflus thought about your team and what he felt was most important, because he done heard about the run defense. He got 2 run defensive linebackers. Got the guy out of Tennessee was a run defensive guy. And the guy out of Chicago is a run defensive guy. Linebackers. Right off the bat. That was their first pickups. Made a trade to get that guy. Right off the bat. So that tells you what he felt about, and Eberflus been a linebacker guy, and he feel he control the run with the linebackers. And you got some good players on this team that we may not be, we talk about, we like, man, we forgot about them. We forgot about some players that we had on this team. Kneeling. Number 94, the guy we drafted last year, came back off an injury. Could have sat out the whole year because he got a knee hurt. He sat out 5 games, but he came back in the end of the year. Know who that reminds me of? And see, he played well. See, we looking for splash. So it goes back to what I was saying about, the canned answers. I talked about the passing game, but we say the running game ain't, people running the ball against us. First thing we say, no, we ain't got no defensive line. Then the next thing they'll say, oh, the linebackers. And way down the road, they'll be saying, oh, well, it's a scheme. And just because your team does bad, and we need to stop doing this, just because your team does bad, does that mean everybody ain't no good at run defense? Everybody do their job? I think we put the whole run defensive problems on defensive tackle. When I hear people talk, we put the whole problem on defensive tackles. And that's impossible to do. And if anybody out there telling me that's what you can do, and they have played football, they understand it's a whole. it's some other guys on that defense ain't committed to stopping the run either. So linebackers have increased. With the young linebackers we had last year, they're gonna get their chance. I think Eagleflus is a 4-3 guy. And Corey Media was on this last year when we thought that Zimmer may go to the 4-3, and we thought that a couple years ago we thought that Quinn was setting going up in the 4-3. I mean 3-4. I could see a little bit of hybrid 4-3 into a 3-4 because Osa and Nealon are such great 5 techs with their pass rushing ability and their listen, man. Y'all can talk about Osa taking double team. Osa take double team better than anybody on our team. He been doing that. That's what got him in the pros, man. His anchor. I mean, and we seen him get knocked back here and there. He was like, well, that's the best of the best gonna get that way. But his anchor is what it is. And if he plays 70, 80% of the plays, we're gonna see Pro Bowl numbers by far. Just like we've seen Pro Bowl numbers the last 5 games of the season when he was playing 80% of the plays. And we didn't see Pro Bowl numbers. We seen good numbers when he was playing for the first 3 years he was here. He was only playing 50% of the snaps. But when he's got up to 80% of the snaps, his numbers increase and his productivity increase. Because that's any defensive lineman that plays 57% of the snaps ain't gonna have great numbers. And they're not gonna be in a rhythm. And as they play 80, 70, 80, I ain't saying you gotta play 100%, but when you start playing 70, 80%, it puts you in a rhythm and it puts you in a good rhythm where you learn a lot. I think he learned a lot because we stress test him and it learns how you learn how to really dominate then. And if you getting that type of money, he's gonna have to play those type of things. They're gonna rotate and other things. Solomon Thompson is a massive of a man. Don't think he can't play one. And if you had a 4-3, that one is not really. They may do the overshot 1-3 on that, but if he plays like he's been playing, he's gonna be a problem. Mozzie film does not look bad. Mozzie's hustle is there, and Mozzie has one thing going for him that I think we just don't realize it. This last year he came off shoulder surgery. He had shoulder surgery off last year. Man, how well he coming off shoulder surgery. So he didn't really get a chance to work out none during the off season. And then, he was recovering at the beginning. First year, at the end of the year, was getting some good reps, doing very well, might say. Now he goes into the year, no surgery, had a whole off season to work on his game, work on his body, get his strength back. Man, I'm looking for Miles to do some great things. I think him and Osa is going to be a tandem, probably better than anything. The Eagles are going to have a little problem because they're going to have to replace that guy. I forgot his name, who went on to New England on that massive salary. They're going to have to replace that guy. And I think we're going to be just as dominant. And I think our linebackers are going to be much better because they're going to be coached by one of the best. Even when and I talked trash about LVE, even his best days in LVE, it came under Matt Eberflus. The same thing with Jalen Smith. Came under Matt Eberflus. Even Sean Lee, that came under Matt Eberflus. So I'm looking for all our linebackers to take a big leap and be a dominant force on this team. And that's going to help with the run game right there. Because they're going to get there. Only problem I still see on this team, defense, some going to say corner. We can make a corner work out there. We can train up a corner. I think we get too involved. I think fans get involved. Well, you know what? Who's going to match up with this? It's a one-on-one matchup. Let me tell you something. 70 to 80% of the NFL is zone. Or some type of hybrid of zone. Nobody runs out there man to man. And these guys, they're pros. And if we put a guy in the right spot, he'll be okay. I just think we think when a guy, if he's not our guy, if he get a catch on him, the first thing we start saying, oh, man, he ain't no good. Because he got a couple of catches on him. Man, that's every corner going to get that. That's going to happen. But the talent is there. But again, I say again, are we committed? Are we committed? Are we committed to stopping the run? I hear people talking about it. I hear people talking about it. I hear us talking about it. I hear us talk. I see our fans trying to figure out ways to help our defense stop the run. I remember I was coaching with my old high school, one of my first coaching jobs, and I was a defense coordinator. And we were playing one of the number one teams in the whole state of South Carolina. We was a 2A school, and we were playing the 4A. At that time, 4A was when I was coaching 4A, and they was the number 2 team in the whole state. Matter of fact, they had 4 or 5 players going to D1, Clemson and South Carolina. They had guys ranked in the top 100 of the whole United States. I don't know how in the world our athletic director signed us up for that money game to get us destroyed before we get into playoffs, get into our regular season. Well, anyway, and it wasn't no money game because in high school you play money games too. And the money we got for that game was just, hey, we want us to come up to the second game so they have somebody to slaughter. Well, after the first quarter, the score was 7-0. We held them to 7 points in the first quarter. Midway, starting the first 2 minutes of the third quarter, they scored another touchdown. And the score was 70-0. They did all that. Like they scored every time we punted the ball. They blocked and scored. Every time we got the punt off, they caught it and ran it back. They ran back on kickoffs. They ran back block punts. They had big plays offensively. They had interceptions. It was just an onslaught, and it got so bad that I didn't even realize it was up to 70 when they said 70-0. I was like, what? So we lost the game 70-0. And I tell the story because we're talking about getting help for our defense and talking about getting one text and all that stuff. Fans. And after every game, we always got together and prayed, said the Father's the Lord's Prayer in the end zone. So we was all walking, and all our players got gathered in the end zone, and us assistant coaches had the team gathered in on the knee. And our head coach was talking to somebody and talking to one of the other coaches, and he started walking. He was walking, and he was about to walk by to go on the bus. And we said, Coach, we ready to say the prayer. And he said, hey, y'all get on the bus. God help those who help themselves. And as an assistant coach, man, it was like they beat the religion out of us. But he was right. And I don't think nothing we could have done could have helped. But this is what I'm saying about the Cowboys. We're trying to get one text. We're talking about go get this guy. Go get that guy. When are we going to say, hey, what y'all doing? Because I done seen y'all doing it in some games. In some games, y'all don't. When are y'all going to put on y'all pants and be a formidable run-stopping football team. When are our defensive ends going to go to the point to be number one run stoppers and not just pass rushers? Because if we stop people from running, you're going to get your pass rush. That what Harvey Martin found out. That what Charles Haley found out when he was here. That what Charlie Tobert found out. That what Tutal Jones found out. That what Randy White found out. That what Jim Jeffcoat found out. All the great pass rushers here. That was DeMarcus Ware found out when Mika Ewieflo was here before, and when he was here with Parcells, and we shut down the run then. That's what these guys found out. That if teams can't run on you, the opportunities for pass rush is going to be there. That's what they found out. That's what they found out. So let's stop begging for them to get some help and say, when you going to help yourself? When is the mentality on this team going to be that nobody's going to run the football on us? Because if it ain't, you ain't going to have 11 guys bought in. And I don't think we got 11 guys bought in. Now when I look back what Hooker said, remember Malik Hooker said about Michael Parsons and they had the big brush up by him in the podcast? And him talking about, certain about, being the leader about people running the ball against us. I was on Malik Hooker's side. I'm not no more. Because what did you do, Malik Hooker, to get better than stopping the run? Nothing. You put it on somebody else. And one thing I've learned about in football, as long as I've been dealing with football, studying football, played, coaching, and been a fan of. One thing about defense and the physicality point, because you don't know the play, you got to be able to adapt and figure it out and shut it down. One thing I learned about defense, if you put blame on somebody else and you think it's all about somebody else to get a job done on your unit, and you don't say you're part of that problem, you're going to be a mediocre defense. And guess what? The Cowboys may stop a couple of possessions up front. But the word out in the NFL is they ain't dedicated to do it. Just keep going at them. Then they'll start jumping around blocks. Guys will act like they ain't filling gaps. Then they'll start arguing with each other. And then some of them be tapping to come out because they don't want to play the run. But they want to play the pass game because they want to hunt the quarterback. I ain't telling no lie. Y'all seen this out of our team. Same thing on the running game. We ain't got no gumption about running the ball offense. Shut a couple of runs down early. They'll give it up. They'll go right back to passing the ball and run out. That's that same type of mentality. But guess what? Try that against Baltimore Ravens. They're going to keep at it. And they're going to get better as the game go on with stopping the run because that's their philosophy is that you're not going to run on us. I challenge our defense. It's all about a mentality thing. And I know some of y'all waiting on me to say, well, get this this one taker right there really put us over the top. And listen, I'm not saying anything about nobody who's out there talking about one takes. I think that the people they're saying should be, yes, we should bring them in. I have no problem with that. And some people say we lacking in that. I believe that hey, I'm with them on that of investing in one tech. I'm not saying I'm against that at all. But if you bring him into what I see already, ain't gonna help. Because the only thing they're gonna do is the psychological say, well, we got that one tech, we should be all right now. Because see, this team has a tendency to hide behind people. And maybe y'all might not pick up what I've been saying for the last 4 or 5 live streams. I'm tired of the hiding. I'm tired of blaming for 53 guys that I think are talented about what the owner doing. Man, they can't get this. We need another guy. We need this. And then every time I'm looking for my big time guys to put extra effort to do the thing for somebody to step up. Because the only person I hear step up and say, I got to play better is the guy to get all the problems. And that's Dak Prescott. Everybody else talk about what we need to do as an organization. And I know y'all want to keep talking about going back to old time, but these are pivotal things. I remember Emmitt Smith talking about after they left. I think it was the year they lost in the playoffs to right before the year before they went to the Super Bowl. They lost in the playoffs, and Emmitt was going home for the summer, and he called Michael Irvin. Then he sent out a letter to all the players that are coming back about we need to work harder and dedicate ourselves to get back and to win this thing. It was a motivational thing to the whole entire team about putting in extra because it was going to take all of us to win it. And one thing about that Cowboy team was when you saw him up there standing up there with Jimmy Johnson and when they put him in the Ring of Honor, you had people not just from the offense, you had people from the defense, you had people from the offense, you had people from the special teams there. Just about every player came back and all of them said the exact same thing. All those individual personalities, all those players went out, man, they ain't the first time the Cowboys had podcasts and stuff like that. They always had commercials and TV shows all the way back to the Roger Staubach days. Everybody had different shows, different stuff. How many players went to the little White House with the women and all that kind of? Everybody had their own thing. But one thing they had that was essential from the 70s, the 90s, or any other great teams, regardless of how much they had us going on, when they got in that locker room, they knew it took every last one of them to win. And if they didn't win, they didn't blame nobody else, but they blamed themselves. 1 through 53. And until we build that type of culture, I understand we talk about 12 brands, 53 brands. But until we stop as Cowboy fans, stop making excuses and trying to put it on somebody, let's put it on all of them. Because soon as something don't go wrong, you got a sick owner said some of the stupidest stuff in the world after last year. What kind of owner says we going as far as Dak take us on a football team? You know, that sets up for the 105.3. They love that. Because that sets them up for something to talk about. That ESPN loves that. Because now it sets it up for them to always say, well, you know, it ain't go because Dak didn't win it. And you know, that filters into our locker room where guys start doing less because they feel like, oh, if I don't mess up, you're going to blame Dak. That's a problem. That's why we're not dedicated to stopping the run. And yes, I want to hear it first, but I want to see it. How would I go about Coach Marv, go about getting it ready? We'll practice run defense and run game every damn day in training camp. Just like they practice pass 7-on-7 every day. Live or not live. But we're going to practice run every day. And sometimes we're going to practice more than pass because I know that we can do that. But I have to get it set in stone, and I have to get my team believing that running the ball is where we're going to be successful. Now, does that mean we're going to be an 80% running team? No. I got to get you the mindset of that so we can be able to always go back to that and set a dominance to the game. And then we use that when teams think we can be dominant with that, we might go in the game and only run 25 times, but play action pass you to death. And Dak has 30 passes, 3 touchdowns. What I said last year and been saying forever in football. You control the game in the run game. You score in the passing game. So that goes for the same thing on our defense. You control the line of scrimmage. You control their running game. You control the game. You make your strikes in the passing game with interceptions and sacks. Dedication, people. Y'all want to talk about all kind of stuff? I know again, I'm on two platforms. I think I'm on X right now. I'm on YouTube right now. I'm posted 7 videos. I don't know if I'm out there live in a lot of places. I know that I need to get the frills and thrills to this with some music and all kind of other stuff. With I'm coming. I got stuff instead of trying to work on it. I'm a busy person and I need to work more on it, but I'm self-teaching myself on this. And I think I've done pretty well just to get started. And sometimes I come out here because I got to come out here. It's because as my show says, Coach Marv, real talk. This is real talk. You're not going to get this from a lot of other content creators. And the stuff you get from other content creators is great stuff. Outstanding stuff. My counterparts, my boss, Big Time Show, JC Cowboy, J Tuck, Rome, DMV, if I miss somebody, Okoye, if I miss somebody, Long Nation, if I miss somebody, please bring it on my mind, not my heart. They give you outstanding content. But I will say one thing. This is not about talent in Dallas right now. It's about what's going on between the two ear holes of the helmet and take this microphone, this thing here, 2 ear holes, and what's going on there? Are we building the blocks of a true culture that's going to be able to withstand when we don't play well? It's going to withstand when the breaks ain't going our way. And we just might be a little off that day. But we able to win the game because we got a culture that's built off of physicality, discipline, mental toughness, coaching / leadership, and we got enough talent to get it done. And if we building that and we go into this season and we say the ultimate goal is to be balanced on offense and dominate on defense. If our culture leads into this, I like our chances to be playing in February. And as I said earlier, having those 5 things, physicality, discipline, mental toughness, coaching and leadership and talent. I know they're gonna say, well, Coach said if you got those 3, you're gonna win a Super Bowl. No, I ain't guarantee you're gonna win a Super Bowl if you got those 3. I will say it's a real good possibility you're gonna be in the decision making about who gonna win the Super Bowl. But I would guarantee you for sure, if you ain't got most of those, you ain't gonna win no Super Bowl. And that's for sure. Because if you look back at all the great teams, the teams right now, they got those things. And they got those things in spades. Like I said, if you looked at our team last 5 years, be honest with yourself. Teams' narratives about us is not a physical football team. Teams' narratives about us is not a disciplined football team. That's not the narrative for us last 5 years. The narrative for us is not mental toughness. What did Green Bay say? Front runners. People talk about our mental toughness. That's a narrative. That was not the narrative of our culture of a mentally tough football team. I question our coaching and leadership. The only thing I can say is our talent was level because we had Pro Bowlers. And I've seen some great talent. We had talent at every level almost. But you take away your talent with these other things. So this is what Matt Eberflus and this defense have to do. He has to build a culture of dedicated, committed to not letting people run the ball on us. Not a surface level commitment, not being committed because people say that's what you need to be. Not committed because that's what our stats say we need. We need to be stopping the run. No, I need a level of commitment that is overly top, saying we are committed to stopping people from running the football on us. And we get committed to that. And we know what commitment means. Committed means, shucks. Somebody say, I like hamburgers. I love hamburgers. And you give me a good hamburger, I'm good. I'd rather a good hamburger than a brisket sandwich, man. If you give me a good hamburger off the grill, I mean a real good one, man. I'm in hog heaven. I'm committed to hamburgers. And anything you committed to, you're gonna find a way to get to it. It might not be the running thing to go in there, but you're going to find your way to get back to it because you committed to it. And if it don't work, you're not going to throw it away because that's what you committed to. And you're going to find a way for it to work. That's what commitment means. I always tell people, and I'm not no preacher, but I will say this, and I don't know, Big Time may be going off the show now, but I always say this, man. God gave us two things, two main things: undying commitment and unconditional love. And if you could find somebody that can give you those things, or you like that with anything in your life, you can't be separated from it. Undying commitment and unconditional love. If you're in that, if you got something in your life that's what you are, you have those two qualities with. There is no separation from it, and you're gonna find a way to make it work. And teams that are just are totally committed to stopping the run and run the ball don't mean that they're gonna run it all the time. They don't mean they can win the game, but that's what puts them in motion. That's what gets their blood flowing. And that's a commitment to physical football. Running the ball against teams that's I always talking about, everybody talking about one text. And if we get a good run tech, no, I want to say this. I probably lost some people, but hopefully we still got some people out there. Everybody talking about one tech. Philadelphia got a great one tech. Well, they got great defensive middle linemen. So since they got a great one tech, or they got some great defensive tackles, that don't mean we ain't gonna be able to run the football against them. Mm-mm. We got teams to run the ball against them. So that's not gonna make or break your defense. I'd rather say that we got the best defensive tackles and defensive ends in stopping the run. And our one techs are just okay. I bet we'll be able to stop the run. I want to say we got the best safeties in stopping the run. They'll make up for that difference of whatever the one tech is. You ain't gonna get a one tech now that's gonna be a Pro Bowler. So you're gonna need these other guys to play outstanding running, and nobody talks about that. Nobody has talked about, is Neal gonna get better stopping run? Is Parsons gonna get better stopping run? Is if we gonna have Fowler gonna be able to stop the run? If we gonna get that from Sam Williams, not worried about him rushing the passer, is he gonna be a better run stopper for us? Has anybody talked about that? I hope y'all can still see me. I done this thing that came up on the screen. Okay. Man, anybody talked about that? Has anybody talked about we need to get our defensive backs better at stopping the run? What's the one tech gonna do when we got guys running outside and we see that cornerbacks not coming up and making tackles? Has anybody talked about that? I ain't got no problem with getting a one tech. I have no, and I'm with the campaign, a one tech campaign. But we better start talking. We still talking about saying, hey, our defense got to get better at stopping the run, and they got to be committed to doing that. 1 through 11. So I hope I've been on here a little longer than what I thought I was going to be here, man. But I get so fired up and being here, man. Hopefully, I'm gonna get some more of my guys on here. I'm trying to get. I'm trying to get myself with the music and all that stuff before I start getting guests. I'm going trying to get guests, and hopefully I'll be, maybe go on some other people's shows and talk about some of the things I've been talking about here, about my and we're gonna put some more acronyms, some more things that we're gonna be looking for, but commitment to stopping the run. I hope y'all like and y'all share. I thank the people for being in the chat, man. Mikey Mike, Big Blue, let's go. T, I appreciate that. No, I wasn't talking about the prayer view back when he must have been talking about what I was talking about when we got beat so bad. Yeah, my last one of my last years of playing at Norfolk State University. One of my worst losses at Norfolk State is when we got beat 60-0 by Hampton. And the defensive tackle there at that time played for Hampton. He went on to play for the Giants for many of years. And that's where I got my first major shoulder injury. Well, I had some major shoulder injuries then, but I really got a dislocation, and it's right now at the point right now I need reconstruction, shoulder surgery on both of them because of labrum and rotator problems I got with both of my shoulders right now. So it's hard for me to really move my shoulders and everything, man. But yeah, and that's another reason I got out of coaching, man, because it started getting hard for me to be able to demonstrate. And one thing about coaching, I like to be able to demonstrate. And if you can't demonstrate, sometimes you feel a handicap out there. And but yeah, Big Time was in the live screen. I don't know if he's still in here, but I appreciate him coming in and listening to me, man. Listen, he's one of the ones that really inspired me. The talk, I call him here on this show. Boss Cowboy. I always give him the major credit for me being out here. But Big Time, just talking on his show, and he's a great speaker as well, a good reverend speaker. He don't know I reposted one of his posts that he talking about being frustrated. So I guess I had a little frustration today out here. I reposted that on Facebook, but man, hey, great show, man. Great with him. Angie, I appreciate her. She been in here on every live stream I've been on. Kay, I really appreciate that. Joe, man, I appreciate you getting here, man. Live stream, man. All these people, man, that came in and did comments. I really appreciate y'all coming in and hanging out with Coach Marv. Like I said, like, comment, and subscribe. I'm trying to get equipment. I'm not monetized. I'm not begging for nothing, but my goal is to try to get some stuff that I need here. If you have it in your heart and your kindness in your heart, I know that, hey, that when I was out there, I tried to make sure that I made sure that I did stuff to, man, to help these content creators, because I love when they come to give us information. I understand when they're coming to give us information because they love it, but they needed to try to keep on going. So right here in the bottom right-hand corner here, in the left-hand corner here, you see Coach Marv. You see my Cash App down there. $ PBS 222. So if you got in your heart to send Coach a donation, Cash App, when I get to the point where we keep on striving and keep getting better and keep getting subscribers, and I keep my viewing hours up, and I start putting a little bit more flash to this programming, and we get to that point, we get monetized, we're gonna be able to take your super chats, we're gonna be able to take phone conversations, and I'm gonna still work with the guys I've been working with, man, because hey, man, I learned a lot from them. They are just outstanding. They're what they put out there, man. I try to make sure I follow them and try to get the word out. But like I said, man, I'm coming from a different area. I'm coming from a coach's point of view and a football point of view, football thinking point of view, and understand that it's not all about X's and O's. It's about how you handle these things, how you go about it. You're not going to out athlete none of the NFL teams. You're not going to out talent none of these NFL teams. All of them are talented. Every last one from them being in the NFL, they're talented. So it's going to come down to how you do certain things. And some of the things I'm telling you is going to be life lessons as well. And I think that this thing with this Cowboy defense is they got to be committed, a total commitment to stopping the run. And I don't think that's always been there. I don't think it's been there for a while. And if they give totally committed, they'll be there, and all the other stuff that they will want will be there on the board for them if they're totally committed to stopping the run. And if they got to do that, and like I said, Matt Eberflus got to get discipline on this team. And that discipline starts with being a total commitment to stopping the run. And as I've told y'all and said this again, he's got to build respect and trust. Trust and respect from his players. And if he does that, I did not say like and love. Trust and respect. Quinn had this trust and respect at the beginning. Then he got a little too far into like and love. And one thing about when you get too far into like and love, it's a thin line. Then it's hard to make them respond when they're not doing well. And then you kind of lose them because they like you and love you too much to be able to perform. But if they respect you and trust you, they're always going to perform because they're going to understand that you're going to be on their case if they don't. Leave you with this. I'm going to say it every time. You build trust and respect. And with your talented players, coaches cannot make talent. There's only 4 things they can do with talent. Motivate talent, refine their skills, hold it accountable, and put it in the right position to shine. You do that, you'll build a trust and respect with your players, and they'll be able to build the 5 building blocks of culture. Not by a player, but culture of this team. Like Schottenheimer said, he won a championship all-world culture. And that culture starts with physicality, discipline, mental toughness, coaching and leadership, and talent. Thank y'all so much for watching me, listening to me. Please like and subscribe to my channel. Share this with your other platforms. Send it out there, and when you share it, don't have the generic thing on there like old coach guy because he don't know how to change it. It says, welcome to our live screen. And I don't know how, somebody can call me, big time you out there, somebody give me a call, send me a message out there, say, hey, coach, when they're working with Riverside, man, this is how you need to change your title on your stuff so you can have the correct title out there and you won't be this generic title that you got with your stuff. You know what I'm saying? So, but when y'all reshare it, y'all can share it with a title and say, Coach talking about commitment to the run game. Are we really committed to stopping the run? Do we really want it? So do that. Like I said, if you got a chance, hit Coach with a cash out, man. The next show, I'm probably going to come on some more this week. This weekend, I may have another topic I want to talk about this weekend. We look like we're experiencing some rain for this holiday. I want to wish everybody a happy holiday, a safe holiday. There's a lot of stuff going on in this country right now. There's a lot of some very intense, ancient spirits going on right now. So be very careful about who you associate with. Be careful about who you deal with. Be careful about how you move around and where you at. We don't want you to move in fear because God takes care of all of us. And he is the ruler and the provider and the protector. But we want you to be understanding and be careful and be mindful of where you at and who you're around. And make sure you love on your family. Give them unconditional love and undying commitment. Give them the same thing God has given us. I thank y'all for listening to me, man. Until next time, Coach Marv, Real Talk, I'm out. Peace.